A short little announcement on top of those announcements. One of our speakers was scheduled to come from out of town, but guess what? This Microsoft glitch canceled flights. He did lots of other things too. People that had surgeries couldn't have surgeries. Planes that were in the air couldn't land because of a technology glitch. So let's see, our guest speaker that couldn't make it, we just shifted the schedule around, so whatever you may have received before is adjusted. So look at the new schedule. And let's see how it goes. Maybe he'll get on a flight. Maybe not. So we have plan A and plan B. And the topic for this evening, chanting with quality, has a little history behind it. The history behind it is, I'm going to be mentioning this in the course of the presentation, but there's a book, one of many books, written by Sanatana Goswami. And I'll introduce a little bit about Sanatana Goswami after the crowd starts to filter in, but for those of you that are on time. Sanatana Goswami was the author or co-author of a book named Hari-bhakti Vilas. Hari-bhakti Vilas, in simple language, is a how-to manual. How to observe Janmashtami, how to observe Ekadasi, how to worship a deity, how to have weddings, how to everything. So one of the things that the how-to is described in Hari-bhakti Vilas is how to chant. And specifically, how to chant with quality, because many of us, I'll assume, you're already doing some chanting, and you may want to know, hopefully you'll want to know, how to chant with quality. So that's what the topic is drawn from, the text and the message itself. In the stages of bhakti, there's a stage called ruchi, which means taste. So what comes before taste in the system of the stages of yoga is one becomes steady, nishtha, steady. And from steadiness comes taste. So before there's steadiness, there's practice. And so we're looking at the practicing, striving to chant with quality so that we can come to that stage of taste, awakening taste. So we'll see this phrase a few times during this weekend, awakening a taste for the holy name. It's a very nice verse written by Rupa Goswami, who gives a glimpse into the chanting with quality. And he likens the taste of the holy name to be like honey. And the verse, some of you are familiar with his writings. Rupa Goswami wrote many books, and two of those books are dramas, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava. In the introductory verses of Vidagdha Madhava, which is Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, he writes a verse about chanting. And that's 4 parts. First, it's the Mahima, the glories of the holy name. I do not know how much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna have produced. So you'll learn more as we're going along, but there's this principle that helps quality chanting is to have the glories of the holy name. You look up to the holy name and you admire and respect and appreciate the name. How much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna produced, I do not know. But he knows. Second, and then sequence, there's the speaking aspect of chanting, there's the hearing aspect of chanting, and there's the heart transformation aspect of chanting. But it starts with the proper respect and regard for the name itself, or himself. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. Because I can't get enough of it, the taste. The dancing of Krishna in my mouth is so tasteful. Many, many mouths, please. Then, from making the sound, the hearing of the sound. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. So that's a pretty funny looking mouth or face. Many, many mouths to one face and millions of ears to one face. But it's an eagerness for the name, encounter with the name. And then the final, and when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind. And therefore all the senses become inert. Now those of us that have chanted for a little bit, we know the tendency of the mind to wander. The mind is always wandering, chanchala, flickering, like a candle flame in the wind. It doesn't hold still. But there's a stage of chanting where the mind can be conquered. And that's when the hearing becomes so strong, the sound enters the courtyard of the heart, dances in the courtyard of the heart, and the mind becomes stunned. And the senses become inert. That is, the material aspect of distraction, the mind and the senses become under control or inert or very peaceful because of this one thing, the thing of hearing. Hearing becomes possible because of vibrating the name, and the vibrating the name becomes part of one's life when we have a high regard for, at least in principle, that the holy name is, the mantra is very special. Very special. The mantra is a sound vibration not different than Krishna, and the sound vibration can carry us out of material existence into the spiritual world. I'll just mention this and then we'll move on. Plans don't always fructify. Just like this guest speaker that was planning to come here, and he had a plan to come here, and all the flights were canceled, not just his. All the flights in the airport were canceled. I imagine it's pandemonium in the airports. So he had a plan, but the plan didn't make it. Or you may have had a plan before the hurricane hit, and then the hurricane hit. It changed people's plans. So I have a plan. Let's see if it happens. The plan is I'll be here with you again on Thanksgiving holiday for something like a 14-part seminar on one book. And the one book is the 9 stages of bhakti that Rupa Goswami gave in his writings, and then expanded upon by a later Acharya named Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. So in those 9 stages of bhakti, much of what we're going to be discussing this weekend is in that book, so please come if you can. And the quality chanting happens when you hear. Because the speaking part of the body can make a sound, but if you're not hearing attentively the sound, and with adara, with respect, if you're not hearing it in those ways, the full effect isn't going to come. Some effect will be there for sure, because the sound is pure. Sound is Krishna. But to get the full effect, it requires careful, attentive hearing. And then when there's careful, attentive hearing, then there's stages of bhakti grow. You may get stuck at a certain stage because you're distracted. It's a type of offense. Anyway, we'll cover that Thanksgiving weekend. So hear attentively enables you to overcome that potential offense by paying good attention. Here's a photograph of Srila Prabhupada in a morning walk in Nairobi, and he's making a little comment about quality chanting. Why 16 rounds? Why not 16,000 rounds? That is the meaning of quality. Therefore, chant at least 16 rounds. When you come to chanting with quality, you will feel, why 16 rounds? Why not 16,000? Millions of years, many mouths, 16,000 rounds. It's an eagerness. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. That's from this morning's Bhagavatam verse. You're drinking with the ear, the nectar of the sound of Krishna's name. And it's so attractive. And it's not like you get full and you say, if I had enough. Not like that kind of an experience. It's you never get enough. However, most of us are in this other category. Now the guest speakers, Nityananda Pran and Hemangi, they may or may not make it, depending upon Microsoft software. But if they make it, this is what they're going to be speaking about. This is their topic. I'm hearing, I'm chanting, but barely changing. And they chose that topic because it reflects largely where all of us who are regularly chanting, barely changing. So the hearing and chanting is going on, but barely changing. So that's a stage of bhakti, and that's just fine, it's pretty standard. But how to go beyond mediocrity on the path of bhakti. And the key entry point is the sound of the holy name, the Yuga Dharma. For this age, the primary means for that attainment is the chanting of the holy name, to go beyond mediocrity. One of the books written by one of the 6 Goswamis, named Raghunath Das Goswami, is Manashiksha. Manashiksha means, shiksha means instructions, and mana means he's instructing his mind. And in instructing his mind, he's instructing his mind to go to the platform of pure Krishna consciousness, or even more specifically, to raga bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. So you'll hear some music, just like that little violin playing, and then you'll hear a devotee chanting mantra number 3, or text number 3 from the book.
परिचरितुम् आराधभिलषे स्वरूपं श्रीरूपं सगनमिह तस्याग्रजमपि स्फुतं प्रेम्णा नित्यं स्मरणमतदात्वं शृणु मनः.
It's a nice instruction. Here's the translation. This person that narrated the sloka, that's Mukunda. He's a fabulous kirtaneer, and he has a nice wife. And his nice wife is going to narrate the translation.
Listen, O mind. If you desire in every birth to reside in the land of Vraja with loving attachment, and to serve the youthful couple of Sri Sri Radha Krishna in close proximity, then clearly remember and offer obeisances to Sri Swarup, Sri Rupa and his associates in Vrindavan, and to Sri Rupa's elder brother, Sri Sanatan.
So this is instructions of quality chanting and quality bhakti that results from quality chanting. Some of you may know who Raghunath Das Goswami is, but he had he was on the platform of spontaneous devotion, which means he was not bound by the rules and regulations of regular or Vaidhi bhakti. Yet he kept vidhis, he kept vows. Every day he would chant so many rounds. Every day he would offer 100 obeisances to the devotees. Every day he would circumambulate Govardhan Hill. Every day he would offer obeisances to deities in temples 100 times. Every day, every day, every day. Is very strong, and his instruction is coming from a platform of realization, for sure, for sure. Profoundly attached to Vrindavan, profoundly attached to Govardhan Hill, profoundly attached to Srimati Radharani, and to get those attachments, he is indicating how to. And specifically mentioned is these elevated souls. It's an important part of our bhakti process. That is, that we look to the holy name, but we also look to those who are intimately connected to the holy name, very elevated souls. And he's mentioning by name Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Rupa's associates, and Sanatan Goswami. Who is Swarup Damodar? It's important to know. Swarup Damodar was one of two most intimate associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. During the stage of Chaitanya's Leela, where he went into outer limits of ecstasy, otherworldly Mahabhava symptoms of ecstasy that only Srimati Radharani exhibited, they were constant companions by his side. The two, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy. Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy. And when Raghunath Das Goswami finally made it, it was an ordeal and a half, he finally made it to Puri. He was placed in the care of Swarup Damodar to train Raghunath Das. In fact, he was called the Raghu of Swarup because there were lots of devotees with the name Raghunath. So he had a special name, the Raghu of Swarup. And every day, Raghunath Das received the training by Swarup Damodar of the higher stages of ecstasy that Lord Chaitanya was experiencing. He was getting an inside look magnified by 100 times by the heart of Swarup Damodar. So you can only imagine how intimate was that relationship between Swarup Damodar and Raghunath. So his heart is with Swarup Damodar, and he's encouraging us to also have our hearts with Swarup Damodar. And I'm just, one more thing and I'll move on. Is it possible, the answer to the question is yes. Is it possible for us today to associate with these elevated persons? If one's qualified, the answer is yes. There's a ring back in the sound system. Can you fix it? So, some of you know Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master was Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhaktisiddhanta's father and predecessor in disciplic line was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Towards the end of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was personally visited by Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar had gone. That means in his spiritual form, Swarup Damodar came. He writes this at the end of the book. He writes it in addendum at the end of a book. Normally these things aren't disclosed, but I feel compelled to disclose. Swarup Damodar came to me and instructed me to write this book. He told me what the book should consist of, and he gave me very special instructions in verse 111 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's in the book too. So the credit is not me, the credit is Swarup Damodar. Now, we're not so likely to have a personal visit from Swarup Damodar. Not so likely. Maybe someone, but not so likely. But we can have a connection with and an affinity for and receive the mercy of previous acharyas, like is mentioned here, Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Rupa's elder brother Sanatana. If one wants to go to beyond mediocrity in chanting, turn attention to these elevated persons and their writings and pray to them, and not just hang out with them, but appeal to them for mercy. Because to go beyond mediocrity, it takes something special, the mercy of perfected souls. Is it possible to get the mercy of these perfected souls? Definitely. It's part of our bhakti process. So the class this evening is quality chanting, and I'm encouraging to go beyond mediocrity. Hear these instructions of Raghunath Das. Here's the translation of the text again. Listen, O mind, if you desire in every birth, meaning he's not aspiring for liberation in the sense of no more birth and death, if you desire in every birth to reside in the land of Vraja with loving attachment to and serve the youthful couple, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, in close proximity, then clearly remember and offer obeisances to Sri Swarup, Sri Rupa, and his associates in Vrindavan, and to Rupa's elder brother, Sri Sanatan. So it's relationship appealing for the mercy of those elevated souls that are more than ready to give mercy. As we go along, we'll see. We'll see. As I expressed in the beginning, the title of this presentation comes from Hari-bhakti Vilas. A little history about Hari-bhakti Vilas, for those of you that would like to know the history of how it was manifest. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, at his mother's request, he didn't go to Vrindavan, but he went to Jagannath Puri. And he made his headquarters for the remainder 24 years of his life in Jagannath Puri. Except after reaching Jagannath Puri and staying there for some time, about 2 months, he then made an excuse. He wanted to travel in South India to search for his elder brother who had taken sannyas and had headed for South India. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient. He knew that his brother had already departed, but it was an excuse. That is, he wanted to take the chanting of the holy name throughout the whole of India. So that was the excuse. Go look for his brother, Vishwarup. In the course of his travel in the southerly direction, he reached a place where one of the largest deities and largest temples in all of South India is situated, Sri Rangam. Some of you know the place, Sri Rangam. And there's a humongous deity, very celebrated deity, Raghunath. And without all the details, when he arrived, it was the beginning of the rainy season. The chief priest of the Raghunath deity invited him to spend the 4 months of the rainy season in his home. It was a transcendental plan with a backstory behind it, because the young son of Venkata Bhatta was named Gopal Bhatta. And Gopal Bhatta, like a 6-year-old boy, for the 4 months of the rainy season was his personal servant. I'll say it again. A 6-year-old boy became the personal servant of the personality of Godhead, whose mission was to give the chanting of the holy name as the Yuga Dharma. So his son, Gopal Bhatta, when it came time for Lord Chaitanya to leave, he wanted to go with him. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, you stay here. 2 instructions. You stay here and you serve your mother and father until that time comes that they release you, meaning they're ready to depart. You don't have to serve them anymore. The second was, don't come see me in Puri, go to Vrindavan. So he followed both instructions. Go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Rupa and Sanatan, and they will train you further. So for some number of years, different biographies give different numbers, 16 years, 18 years, some number of years until his parents departed, he was a very scholarly young boy. And so what he did, one of the things that he did, was he compiled, and his father is the chief priest of Sri Rangam, which means he had access to learning all the details and details and details and details and details of deity worship. So he began compiling this how-to manual, this Hari-bhakti Vilas manual, and how to worship and how to everything. And when he reached Vrindavan, he gave the manuscript to Sanatana Goswami with 2 requests. Please put all of this material in a publishable form. The second request, don't mention my name, because that was his mood. He wanted to be invisible or not popularize himself as the author. But the history was Sanatana Goswami agreed to both principles, and together, we'll say, the authors of Hari-bhakti Vilas. And one of the topics in Hari-bhakti Vilas is how to chant with quality, which is where the title of this presentation comes from. There's 4 lines, and we're going to spend a little bit of time on this slide. Mana samharanam shaucham, maunam mantrartha chintanam, avyagratvam anirvedo, japa sampati hetava. Japa sampati has the meaning of perfection. How to achieve perfection, not beyond quality, perfection through chanting. Would you like to hear the meaning? That's where we're going to spend some time. It's also sadhana siddha. So there's the practice following these 6 principles. One, according to Hari-bhakti Vilas, is how one can achieve perfection. Certainly go beyond mediocrity. The first of the 6, subduing the mind. Mana samharanam. Mana samharanam. Subduing the mind. Shaucham, cleanliness. That's easy. Subduing the mind is not so easy. Maunam. Tomorrow we're going to be chanting many rounds. Some of you will be chanting 64 rounds. Some of you are chanting 32 rounds. Some of you will be chanting 100 rounds. Different devotees will do different things. But during the day tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning first thing, maunam, silence, mantra chintanam. We're going to spend some time on this one. Meditate on the mantra's meaning. Meditate on the mantra's meaning. So when you're chanting mantra, there's the sound, and then there's the ear, and then there's the mind and heart. So the mind is what contemplates the meaning. So along with the sound and the hearing, meditate on the meaning of the mantra. We'll spend some time on this, you'll see. Mantrartha chintanam. Then patience. That it takes some time to achieve the fruition of anything that's of value. So same with chanting. Being patient. And anirvedo, steadiness. You'll see these terms repeated like several times in the course of my discussions, including tomorrow morning just before we have our 64 round day. So there's the Japa Sampati. It brings perfection through practice. Here's the translations. This is taken from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I mentioned Bhaktivinoda Thakur's name already. One of his books, 100 books, is Bhajana Rahasya. And he writes, it's basically summarizing what this verse says from Hari-bhakti Vilas. To be attentive, purification of the heart is required. This means keeping silence, that is, avoiding unfavorable talking. While chanting, one must affectionately remember the meaning of the mantra. Steadiness, patience, and attachment to chanting are all treasures of chanting. That's his way of paraphrasing Hari-bhakti Vilas. In ISKCON, there's a very nice author named Shivanam Swami, and he explains the same in his own language. These are the causes of success in chanting: subduing the mind, cleanliness, avoiding unnecessary talk, remembering the meaning of the mantra, patience, and not being disappointed. Patience and not being disappointed. Nice. Following the publication of this book, Manashiksha, there are 2 personalities that wrote on the same topic, expanded the topic. One of the persons named is Dhyanachandra Goswami. In ISKCON we don't know so much about him, but you'll learn a little bit about him just now. Dhyanachandra Goswami was a disciple of Gopal Guru Goswami. And he, Dhyanachandra Goswami, wrote a whole book just on this topic. You see the Sanskrit on the left, mana sanharanam shaucham maunam mantrartha chintanam. You recognize the Sanskrit phrases. The first part is not from Hari-bhakti Vilas. The sadhaka shall not move his head and neck about, nor show his teeth. I don't know how you chant without showing your teeth, but that's what he writes. He shall sanctify his mind by withdrawing it from the objects of the senses, pondering the meaning of the mantra, and maintaining silence. So there's 3 of the 6. And then a second verse following that. This I like. The mantra should be situated in the mind, and the mind should be situated in the mantra. The mind and the mantra should be joined together. This is the characteristic of japa. Now remember, the Hari-bhakti Vilas verse is explaining how to chant with perfection. Make it a little softer, with quality. But the mantra should be situated in the mind, and the mind should be situated in the mantra. Seamless joining together. And when you're chanting with quality, that's what it's like. When you're not chanting with quality, it's distraction. And you may continue. Please do continue, even if you're distracted. But it's, the experience isn't mind situated in the mantra. But when you take full shelter of the holy name, I mean, this is a manual to explain how to do what the how-to verse of Hari-bhakti Vilas is teaching. And his guru is Gopal Guru. Now, Gopal Guru, just a little history, some of you have been around for a while. Gopal Guru was a little boy once before. He was an old man. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought the little boy before him and instructed him, chant Krishna. And the little boy chanted Krishna and started crying in ecstasy. So he got a nickname, Gopal Guru. Gopal, Gopal, Krishna. Gopal Guru, when he grew up from being a little boy, he became a disciple, initiated disciple of Vikreshwara Pandit. Some of you have read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you heard of Vikreshwara Pandit. He was celebrated for being a dancer. Vikreshwara Pandit would dance and dance and dance and dance and jump in the air and dance in ecstasy for 24 hours nonstop. Most of us can't do that. But it was a spontaneous ecstasy, it wasn't performance. His whole being was so enlivened from chanting. And secondly, he was very scholarly. There's details because of time. His scholarliness demonstrated before the Vaishnava community. He understood in depth the teachings of bhakti, and he spoke them very nicely. Gopal Guru was his disciple, Dhyanachandra Goswami was his disciple, and they all lived in Puri. This murti that you see in the lower right, that's in the same area where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gambhira is. So he wrote a book, The System for Remembering the Lord. Nice. Smarana Padati. Padati is a manual, a step-by-step manual, Padati. And he includes, which we're going to hear shortly, Mantrartha Chintanam. He explains meditating on the meaning, and artha, in addition to meaning, is its value. So what I'm doing here is taking this teaching from from Hari-bhakti Vilas and drilling on it. Gopal Guru wrote on it, Dhyanachandra Goswami wrote on it, and we're going to hear what their writings are. So the meaning, so here's There was, for those of you that have registered, you're supposed to have received 2 PDFs. One of them is more details on the meaning of the mantra. So don't check now, check later. But you'll, if you didn't receive it, inform Amala. Where is he? He's, I'd like them to get a PDF, because then it's in their computer, in their, everybody uses handheld devices, or 2 or 3 of them, so it's handy. If you didn't get it, complain. You can complain to Radha Ballabha. He'll help you. So there's 3 names in the Maha Mantra, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Here's what he writes, Gopal Guru, in this manual for remembrance of Krishna. The meaning of Hare. Here's a translation of his writing. The personality of Godhead, who has a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, has manifested himself in the form of his name, because he takes away ignorance and its activities. The devotees remember him as Hari. Sri Radha, who is the Lord's own pleasure potency, steals the mind of Krishna. Hari can steal your mind, and she steals the mind of Hari. Therefore, she is praised as Hara. The vocative form of Hara is Hare. Clear? I mean, he's just expanding on what many of us already know. That what many of us already know is one of Radha's names is Hara, and the vocative becomes Hare, but he's explaining how she gets the name Hara. She steals the mind of Hari. Hari takes away ignorance and the activities that flow from ignorance. That's Hari, and she's Hara. She steals his mind. So when we say Hare, that's the meaning. And the meaning of Krishna, he writes, Sri Krishna is the eternal beloved of Radha, who is bliss personified, the beautiful dark son of Nanda, with eyes like lotus petals, is the only source of bliss for the residents of Gokula. He is therefore known as Krishna. Therefore, the names Hare and Krishna mean Radha and Krishna, and are full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. I'm just a translation of Gopal Guru's book on how to become absorbed in remembrance of Krishna always. So chanting of the mantra and meditating on the meaning of the mantra and the meaning of Rama. It's a very interesting one. I'll do it twice because it's so interesting. That Sri Krishna is the chief amongst those expert in loving affairs, and the worshipable deity of amorous pastimes always enjoys Radha. He is therefore called Rama. Radha Ramana, Rama. Got it? Do it again. Takes a while. It took me a while, anyways. Krishna, he's the expert in loving affairs with Radha. And he always enjoys Radha. He is therefore called Rama. Rama, the reservoir of pleasure. And the reservoir of pleasure is his enjoying Radha Ramana Rama, enjoying sporting and loving affairs with Radha. So that's from Gopal Guru. The instruction is, while chanting mantra, meditate on the meaning of the mantra. And it's not like you have to do a balancing act. Rather, just by practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, it becomes very natural. It's not like chant and be attentive to chanting and oops, over there I have to be meditating on the meaning of the mantra, and you vacillate back and forth between the two. It's not like that. Maybe initially it's a little uncomfortable, but by practice, it just becomes natural. When you're making the sound, you're meditating on the meaning of the sound. You're not mindless, you're mindful of what it is, that sound that you're making. Some of you have read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are two additional meanings of Rama. And there's a long purport, but the essential message, you see the reference here, Adi Leela chapter 5. Some say that Rama and Hari Rama is Lord Ramachandra. And someone else says that Rama and Hari Rama is Sri Balaram. Both are correct, because there's no difference. I mean, there's difference, but there's no difference. Balarama and Ramachandra, or Radha Ramana Rama. Now, Srila Prabhupada has given us an even simpler form of meditating on the meaning. And meditating on the meaning is, my dear Radha, my dear Krishna, please engage me in your service. Very simple. It's a call with meaning. It's not just a sound. There's the person behind the sound and the person on the other receiving end of the sound. And that's the meaning. Now here's a little, in this audio, you see little lower right corner, there's a little speaker thing. There's a little audio clip, very short, where Prabhupada is describing his humble approach to chanting. Let's see if it works.
Jimang bhaktya prajach. The real thing is bhakti. What you can offer to Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. Huh? What you have got, what is your value? And what is the value of your things? There is nothing. Therefore, the real thing is bhaktya. Real thing is your feeling. Krishna, kindly take it. I have no qualification. I am most rotten, fallen. But I have brought this thing for you. Please take. This will be accepted. Don't be perturbed. Always be careful. You are dealing with Krishna. That is my request. Thank you very much.
So in addition to the meaning, there's a feeling that goes with the meaning, and that's the feeling of humility and offering something. So when we're offering the sound of the mantra, it's our appeal that Krishna accept us as his servant and continue to engage us perpetually, eternally in his service. So now I'm going to go back to the phrase, mantrartha chintanam. This is the Hari-bhakti Vilas instruction, one of 6 steps or elements to help chant with quality. So one is to understand the meaning, meditate on the meaning, and then another is to meditate on the value. Artha can be translated as value. Something that people value is artha, like dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In that 4, artha generally means wealth. For material people, artha means wealth. And for spiritual people, it means something else. Here's Rupa Goswami's description of the value of the Mahamantra, taken from the 2nd verse of Namastaka. The holy name is worshipped by liberated souls, as even Namabhas destroys all types of miseries. And he quotes the Sanskrit phrase, Tvam anadarad api manag udiratam. If someone utters you, nama, even with negligence, adarat means the opposite, and anadarat means negligence. So adarat, one of the PDFs that you're supposed to have received, or if you didn't yet, Radha Bala will help you get one, is lots of references on adarat, or respect. Looking up to, with respect, the holy name. And even if you don't look up to the holy name with respect, and you're in this abbas stage or shadow of the holy name, still, with negligence, adarat, you destroy severe material miseries. This is your mighty power. Therefore, the value of the holy name is no amount of gold or material valuable thing can purchase taking away material miseries. But even reflection of the holy name can do that. Therefore, what to speak of the pure holy name? Such value. One of the books of Rupa Goswami, we're almost done. One of the books of Rupa Goswami is Sri Padyavali. Padyavali is a vali, or a collection, like a vine, a collection of different sayings or glorifications, padyas, of glorification of Krishna. And there's a section that's on the holy name, and I'm going to read 3 of them. This is an unknown author. Extracting the 4 syllables that are the heart of the 4 Vedas, Lord Hari makes the word Narayana. Day and night, chanting this name, we become purified. We do not know any other better way to please Lord Hari. And there isn't one. Not just in this age of Kali, but any time. Here's the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who's being quoted in Padyavali. Let the twice born enter the fearless kingdom of yoga, Vedic study, solitary meditation in the forest. Let them become liberated in that way. There's no enmity, no criticism, no competition. Fine. As for us, Ishwar Puri writes, we will spend hundreds of thousands of births chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, whose splendid dark complexion and yellow garments are like a host of blue lotus flowers blooming in a grove of yellow flower-bearing kadamba trees. The happiness derived from chanting surpasses liberation. And I don't aspire for that liberation where I'm not going to be chanting. Let me, birth after birth. Same as with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mama Janmani Jamani Shari Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaituki Twayi. Same message. Shikshastaka. And then there's another one, again, unknown author. May Krishna's holy name, which is a reservoir of all transcendental happiness, the destruction of Kali Yuga's sins, the most purifying of all purifying sayings, the saintly person's food as he quickly traverses the path to the spiritual world, the pleasure garden where the voices of the greatest saints, philosophers, and poets play, the life of the righteous and the seed of the tree of religion bring transcendental auspiciousness to you all. So it's a benediction verse going to everybody. Nice verse. And the final section is, you'll notice, please notice, that the teachings of Rupa Goswami and the teachings of Hari-bhakti Vilas are drawn and close, or are closely resemble the teachings of previous realized souls. They're not creative writing. So one of those previous perfected souls is the very celebrated person who is known for being authority in meditation, mantra meditation or other meditation, is Patanjali Muni. And Patanjali is famous for his Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Some of you may have heard of those, some of you may even know them. And there's the first 14 are describing the procedure. And in the procedure, that's the sadhana, he gives 5 principles. And notice, subduing the mind was already spoken of in Hari-bhakti Vilas. Mantrartha Chintanam, Manaksamharanam, subduing the mind. Here's the others. Cleanliness, silence, patience, and steadiness. Similar to what's found in Hari-bhakti Vilas. Yes? Yes. So, Mana Samharanam, subduing the mind. So there's a picture of someone, maybe in Texas, who knows, years ago, breaking a bucking bronco and showing off, subduing the mind. Here's what Patanjali Muni writes. The mind is like a monkey. Not just a monkey, a drunken monkey. Not just a drunken monkey, but a drunken monkey stung by a scorpion. Not just a drunken monkey stung by a scorpion, a drunken monkey stung by a scorpion possessed by a ghost. And subduing the mind is not easy. There's Sanskrit for all of this. They're called subhashitas, words of wisdom. And in this section of Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he's describing the principles of abhyas, or practice, or we say sadhana, but Krishna uses the word abhyasa. Abhyasa yoga yuktena, chetasananyagamino. Abhyasa, practice, practice and practice, subduing the mind. And it's not easy when you're trying to subdue the mind. So the advice that Krishna gives is, this is a principle of practice, you bring the mind back. You know the verse, it's chapter 6, Bhagavad Gita. For wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the capital S self. So that's 1 of 6. 1 of 5, excuse me. Then cleanliness, there's the external cleanliness. You know from this painting, this is the Gundicha Marjana Leela, which takes place the very day before Lord Jagannath leaves the temple and goes on Rath Yatra cart. Because he's going to go to someplace. He's going to go to Gundicha. So before he goes to Gundicha, they make it clean. And after making it clean, they make it clean again, because it's for Jagannath. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu led the cleansing party. So the cleanliness is external. That's, the body and the place where you do your sadhana. And then the internal cleanliness. That's the more difficult part. But both are needed, this cleanliness. So, mana samharanam, shaucham, and silence. Here's from Bhagavad Gita. Maunam chaivasmi guyanam. Of secret things I am silence. So what does that mean? It can mean literally don't make any sound, but more specifically, speak only Bhagavad Gita. That's silence. And reject talk unrelated to Krishna. One should not talk about anything mundane while chanting. And here's a classic example. You all know what I mean. I don't require an explanation. One of the principal distractions, it's sometimes I do a fair amount of public speaking, and it's really easy to see when persons are not paying attention because they get out their mobile device and start doing stuff with their mobile device. Now, sometimes people, like many devotees here, are taking pictures, and some devotees may be taking notes, and that's okay. But often it's just text messaging, and stuff is important. But when engaged in the process of hearing and chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, try not to get distracted. So a piece of advice, I don't know what you do, but turn your cell phone off when you're chanting, just like off. I tell people, if you have an emergency when I'm chanting, go somewhere else with your emergency, because I'm not going to even know that you have an emergency because my phone is off. And it's not like snotty or snobby, it's just to fulfill the purpose of just remaining attentive. Please remain attentive. And two more. Here's the language of Patanjali. Avyagratvam. Be patient. Rupa Goswami has another Sanskrit term, but it means the same thing. Don't be hasty to get results. Results may take some time. This is Shrutakirti. Some of you may know who Shrutakirti is. If you don't, here's a little bit. He's a Prabhupada disciple, and he, along with Hari Sori, were two principal persons that served as his personal servant. His personal servant means he had intimate association with Prabhupada day and night, day and night, day and night. Hari Sori told me Prabhupada had a system where even at night, the servant was asleep in the room not far away, and on Prabhupada's bed, he had his desk, he had a little buzzer. And if he wanted a servant, didn't matter day or night, he'd press the little button, and the bell would ring, and the servant would come. What is it? What service can I do? So one day, Shrutakirti was with Prabhupada in Los Angeles. One day I was sitting in his sitting room in New Dwarka, cleaning around his desk. He was sitting behind his desk, chanting Japa. As he pulled down a counterbeat, he looked at me with a beautiful smile and said humorously, "There, I've finished my 16 rounds. Now I can do any damn thing I want." Humorously. And he chanted more than 16 rounds, but he was parodying devotees that may think like that. One shouldn't think like that. The restless nature of the unsteady mind is called vyagrata, and they put the A in front of it. It is avyagrata or avyagratatvam. One should chant with avyagrata, a peaceful and undisturbed mind. And last but not least, non-dejection or steadiness. Again, there's different Sanskrit terms that indicate this. So, anirvedaha. One should not become discouraged by moving slowly in his endeavor to attain the desired goal. Rather, one should chant with patience. Utsahan Nischaya Daryat is the language of Rupa Goswami. Same message. You can't hurry Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, hurry, hurry. So here's the 6 again. Mana, samharanam, subduing the mind. Shaucham, both external and internal cleanliness or purity. Maunam, or silence. Mantrartha chintanam. Meditate on the mantra's meaning. Avyagratvam, non-haste, and nirveda. There we go. So that's the end of this presentation. And let's see if there's some discussion. How are we doing with time? So we have some time. Yes. Here's a microphone. Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai.
Dandvat Pranam Maharaj, Hare Krishna. The meaning of Hara and that transforming into Hare, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
What was the last part?
We saw how Radharani is called Hara.
Yes, because
And then
the vocative becomes Hare. Just like Radha's name is Radha, Radha. And in Vrindavan, what do you hear? Radhe, Radhe. Calling Radha in the vocative becomes Radhe. So I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but I hear them say Radhe, Radhe. So Hare from Hara. Is it possible? The answer to this question is yes. That Hari in the vocative also becomes Hare? Yes. But it's Hara becomes Hare. Oh, Radha. How do we know that? It could be either. How do you know which one? From our acharyas. From Sanskrit grammar, are both right? Yes. From the meaning, it's, oh, Radha. Is that all right?
Yeah,
Does that answer your question or no?
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah, sure.
So is it like addressing a loved one?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Radha becoming Radhe?
Yes, it's vocative. You're calling. It's not just the loved one, it's a vocative. Supposing it's somebody on the other side of the room. Hey Prabhu. Doesn't necessarily mean a loved one, but it's vocative.
Hare Krishna.
It's a Sanskrit rule, that's all. I see lots of hands up. So you take it to whoever you want to take it to.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. I have a question about the translations of the Suddha Bhakti Chintamani, the Shiva Maharaj part, where he explains like the causes of successful chanting.
Could you speak slower? He explains
Sorry.
what?
For the causes of successful chanting, one of them was not to be disappointed. I
Yes.
didn't exactly understand that. Can you elaborate on it?
Yes. Not be disappointed means you're familiar with Rupa Goswami's nectar of instruction. So enthusiasm, utsahan, and patience, nishchayat, because results don't come quickly. So stay with it and be patient. Stay with it and be patient because results take some time. Cleansing to get to the state of pure consciousness takes time. So be patient, but stay with it. That's the elaboration. So if you understand that verse from Nectar of Instruction, same meaning. Back there?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the session. In Gita, it's mentioned, Krishna says that he is mind. Mind, he is mind. And when we chant, we are trying to control that mind to chant. So when I look at him, I see that pleasing, beautiful him. And I'm trying to build that relationship of attachment, feelings, emotion. At the same time, he is that monkey mind. So I find too difficult to absorb these opposing qualities.
You find it difficult to do what?
Difficult to absorb the opposing qualities.
Opposing qualities.
Yes.
I don't understand what you mean by
So he is calm, pleasing, trying. He's the source of everything. He's everything. But
Krishna is everything, correct.
yes, but at the same time, this monkey mind, that is something very opposing to what I see, all the positive things about him.
I don't see what you see. How is it? Can you help me understand to see what you see? Because there's the material covering,
Yeah.
and there's the soul. And the mind that we're very familiar with is the material covering mind.
So when he mentions in Gita that he is mind, then what is he referring?
What is who referring?
In chapter 15, he mentions Purushottam Yoga. He mentions that he is mind.
Well, there's stages. There's the material, but this material mind can become spiritualized, completely transformed. So we start with what we have. That's the covering version. So I don't see the conflict. What's the conflict? So just like I have a hand, it's material. But if the hand can be used in, let's say, worshiping the deity, then this hand is becoming sanctified by contact with the deity. Or the tongue can be sanctified by chanting the name. The mind can be sanctified, purified, spiritualized completely by hearing the name. The mind becomes one with the mantra becomes one with the mind. And so it's starting from this level, but working, that's sadhana. That's what this discussion is about. Chanting as a sadhana. So there's the material faculties, the senses, and the subtle sense, the mind. And they're material. And they become spiritualized by contacting with the all spiritual.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. When I chant the Mahamantra, I just tend to remember Rama and Krishna, and the Radha does not come to the mind that easily. So is that some sort of a violation of the principle?
No. It's a stage. It's not yet mature stage. And that's okay. But if your mind can go to Krishna and Rama, fantastic. And be patient. Because that's another of the three words. And through practice, meditating on the meaning of the mantra, then it becomes part of your absorption in the mantra. Radha will be there. And by the mercy of Radha, you get even better access, more real transcendental access to Krishna and Rama. What do you think? It's a stage. It's not an offense. There's nothing wrong. You're not going to get some bad marks in your report card or something, or spanked or something. It's just a stage. Something is easier for you. Something else may be easier to somebody else. But follow the process and you'll get to the same destination. Does that mean what?
I will forget Rama.
No, you won't forget. You'll become more focused by the mercy of, because Hara attracts Krishna, and you're approaching Hara by the mantra, in the form of Hare, and that will help you become attracted to the all-attractive, to the medium of Hara, who attracts Krishna. You'll be benefited. So stay with it. That's where this patience thing comes in, just like his question. Is it all right? Okay. You're patient, right? Okay, good. Not too patient. Still be enthusiastic, but patient. You know the teaching, you know the nectar of instruction. And the third is behind what supports both being enthusiastic and being patient is dharyat, firm confidence. I get on this vehicle, it's going to take me to the destination. The vehicle is the mantra, or the process of bhakti. It's going to take me to Krishna. So let me just make sure I do the bhakti part, like this little recording the Prabhupada was saying, with love. Try. And you cultivate, and you cultivate, and you cultivate in it. It's natural. It's natural because it's reality. I'm insignificant. My offering to Krishna is insignificant. My bhakti is very weak and insignificant. But Krishna is very kind. Krishna is very kind. Krishna is very kind. Fortunately for us, Krishna is very kind. Even we can get distracted and lost and, turned upside down. Krishna is very kind, and he'll help us. Just stay steady with approaching Krishna with genuine feeling. Try. Sincere feelings. Yes?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I have two questions. One is, in your presentation, there was some discussion, the word goal.
Yes.
And,
Artha.
So the way I'm processing that, and I would like to confirm with you, that the goal should be to chant 24 hours or to remember Lord 24 hours.
Remembrance.
Yeah, remembrance. Is that the right interpretation?
Yeah. Smartavya satatam Vishnu or vismartavya najatu shit. Sarva vidya sedashur etayor vikinkri. You know the verse. The verse says, the governing principle of all do's and do nots is one thing. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So it's not 24 hours chant, but if you absorb yourself, when the stage comes that we're actually absorbed in Krishna, even in sleep we'll think of Krishna. You ever had dreams of Krishna? Sometimes? Not so often, huh? Uttama Bhakta, do you have dreams of Krishna sometimes?
I don't have dreams of Krishna, but I have seen 3-4 times you appearing in my dreams, so I don't.
Okay, and my business is to help you remember Krishna. So. Okay. Next.
So the other one is, I have seen in my life that hearing Krishna Katha regularly and with fair amount of attention and absorption, it really helps chanting and takes care of lots of problems that we may encounter in our chanting. So
I think that's it has helped me a lot in my chanting and looking forward to chanting. And so I would like to see if you can say a word or two about that, hearing Krishna Katha.
Yes, I'll say a word or two. That's it, word or two.
Thank you.
Here's a word or two from Bhakti Siddhanta. I have a great adarat towards Bhakti Siddhanta. There's reason. So he explains, just as we don't worship the deity of Krishna alone, we worship the deity of Krishna with Radha, or his feminine counterpart, meaning Satyabhama Krishna, Rukmini Krishna, or Krishna with his energy. We don't worship Krishna alone. Similarly, we chant in connection with Hari-katha. Hari-katha is feminine. Katha or Vedas or Shabda Brahman is spiritual sound that's feminine. It reveals Krishna. Radharani reveals Krishna. So along with chanting Hari-katha. And they're meant to go together like worshipping Radha with Krishna, not just Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Way in the back in the corner, the Shamsundar.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I was listening this Hari-bhakti Vilas verse, the class by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. And the prominent point Maharaj at the end of the class was saying that manaha samharan shaucham. Then Maharaj says that the real shaucham,
The what?
real shaucham means cleanliness,
Yeah.
is that you should be able to control your mind fully when you chant the holy name. That means no lust, anger, greed, everything should be free. That is the real cleanliness. So Maharaj was making the point that if you want to measure your cleanliness of your mind, then your mind should be completely absorbed when you chant the holy name. And on the second line, he also, Maharaj mentioned that monam, mantra artham, that really the silence, if we don't indulge in any Gramya Katha, only related to Krishna, then and then the stage of your mind will come that while you chant, that you will be able to absorb the meaning of the mantra. And that's really the monam. When you can see the meaning of the mantra constantly when you chant, that's the stage that you can say that you have achieved real mona. Would you like to add anything, Maharaj?
The only thing I'd like to add is, when I was preparing this presentation, I was keeping in mind two things. Audience attention capacity, and then how long the whole thing would take to present. So I didn't include everything. That one slide that showed Gundicha Marjana, the external cleanliness and internal cleanliness, and the internal is more difficult, that says it. But you can elaborate on what does that mean, that says it. So what you just did, maybe could you send me that text of the internal cleanliness part, Mona Samharanam? So, and maybe next time I do this, because there's going to be a couple more Japa retreats with the same material for different audiences. So maybe I'll add it, because it's a nice point. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In the context of mantra and silence, I find that very intriguing because in one of the slides I felt it almost compared like I'd rather chant 16,000 rounds of mantra or 16,000 lives versus the yogi in the woods in silence. But I almost feel like there's a healthy relationship. We talk about silence, like being silent when not chanting. So would you say there's a healthy relationship versus instead of being like Raja Yoga versus mantra, it's more like the quality of my mantra enhances the quality of my silence?
Yes. A point of clarification. The clarification point is there's a negation and there's a positive definition of monam. Monam can mean no sound at all. Some persons observe no sound at all. And the positive is no sound that's outside of remembrance of Krishna or in relation to Krishna. And that's monam. Not making material sound or being attracted to material sound. Making material sound is monam. Making only spiritual sound. So chanting is monam. The idea is, my understanding of the idea of monam is you just, not just dial down, but turn off non-spiritual sound vibration. You dial up spiritual sound vibration, and that's monam. Does that answer your question? Does that edify and send some light on your point? Yes? Because some people say, it's not what Srila Prabhupada or our acharyas say, that mantra meditation is to be done silently within the mind. No sound, please. Silently within the mind. That kind of meditation. Silent meditation. Reciting the mantra in the mind. And it's possible. But that's not the meaning, nor is it the practice of mona from a transcendental perspective. From the transcendental perspective. Making the sound, there's a very nice little story. You're a little familiar with who is Lord Chaitanya? Little bit? Little bit. Lord Chaitanya had a very affectionate relationship with a very poor man, like super poor. His name is Kolavechar Sridhar. Sridhar was his name, and Kolavechar indicated his occupation. His occupation was, his little grass hut was in a grove of banana trees. So every day he would take some leaves from the banana trees and some banana flowers and some bananas, etc. Make some banana leaf cups and banana leaf plates, and he sold banana stuff by the side of the Ganges. And Lord Chaitanya would come and, affectionately tease him. Kolavechar, you're a businessman. Give me a good price. And he said, I'll give you the same price I give to everybody, which is, they would have some bantering back, fun talk. So there came a stage in Lord Chaitanya's Leela where in the evening he was acting as if he was just one of the devotees in kirtan, dancing and chanting. One evening, it was a role flip. He took the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He went straight from the chanting, dancing, sat on the altar, and said to everybody, worship me. And they were very happy to worship him. So they did the same thing that they do for the deity, only for him. And then, in that same mood of his omniscience, one by one, he called devotees forward and told something that no one else knew. Like one time, for example, there was a man who had 2 daughters, and there was some Muslim soldiers coming into the town, so he was wanting to protect his daughters from the Muslim soldiers that would violate his daughters if they got their hands on them. So he went to the Ganges, and there was no boat. So Lord Chaitanya revealed, remember that? He didn't disclose it to anybody. Remember that? I was the boatman. I took you to the other side to protect your daughters. And the man fainted because he hadn't told anybody, etc., 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 etc. He told who they were in their previous lives. He told so many things. Then when it came to Kolavechar Sridhar, he said, where's Kolavechar Sridhar? He's down that way, down the road, along the shore. There's a path, a little footpath, along the side of the Ganges. There's no street lights. I mean, he didn't say there's no street lights. There's no lights, but just follow the sound. Because all night long, he's calling Krishna's name in a crying mood. Just follow the sound, you'll find Sridhar. Bring him here. And sure enough, it's evidence from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The mantra is not in the mind only, it's audible. Mantra, maunam, regarding mantra meditation is make the mantra sound, but not other sounds, for the mind to be immersed in the mantra, and the mantra to be immersed in the mind. Like that nice instruction that we saw on the screen. Through sound. That's the Vedic process. A nice example. Kolavechar Sridhar. It's a nice example to remember. I remember that one. Okay, the 8 o'clock bell rang. That means it's time to end. And who's going to make the announcements of what's next?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for His Holiness Ramapada Swami for wonderful class.